see what you mean. All right. So, if you have this shape that kind of tapers, what would this one be? The apex. Where would the base be? Top. Yeah, all this bigger part. Even though usually you think the base would be at the bottom, it's just you always, whenever you have a point, like an A, that's your apex. The base is the meat, the big part of it. I wouldn't worry about base and apex. Yeah, because they're big. So don't even worry about it. Let's get to the chambers. All right, so does everyone know how the heart sits? Okay, the heart sits, they say it's way left. It's actually kind of more center and a little left, not way left. Okay, so your chambers, when you're looking at the heart, you got to remember to flip the side. Okay, because this one on your side is left. On this side, it's right. Does that make sense? Or no?
Yeah.
You guys get that? Okay, so when you're looking, let's see, right here. When you're looking at the chambers, okay, this one, what would this side be? Good. The right. You gotta flip it because it's not on you. Okay? On you, right, left. When you're looking, just like the cadaver, when you're looking at it, you've got to remember to flip it, right? Okay? So all of the right side of the heart takes care of oxygenated or deoxygenated? Good. No, the left side is oxygenated, right? Okay, so your right atrium, what would the function be? Or have you guys done the heart in lecture? Oh, awesome. So what does right atrium do?
Deoxygenate blood from the body to the right ventricle.
Okay, good. So from the body, right ventricle, but now for this one, you're going to have to get a little more specific. Okay, on circulatory, we need the closest points. Okay, even though exactly that's what it's doing, all upper, all the body, and it goes down. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's what. Yeah. So the right atrium carries deoxygenated blood from 3 veins. Can you?
Superior vena cava.
Good. SVC, IVC, coronary sinus. Okay? Superior vena cava, right here. So superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, coronary sinus. Okay? Your coronary sinus takes care of the heart. The heart needs its own circulatory system to pump oxygen, give it to the muscle, then take it away and dump it into this huge highway. You see how all of these vessels connect to one big highway? Now it flips around, goes to the right atrium, and inside you'll see the dot. That's your coronary sinus. Okay, that small dot is a coronary sinus. Okay, that could be, that could be a good.
It's a really small dot?
Yeah, the small dot. Okay. You guys all see that?
What is it again?
Coronary sinus. Okay, you see it? Coronary sinus? Okay, good. So, right atrium, 3 veins, SVC, IVC, CS, right? Coronary sinus. Good. Now, they take the DO2 blood, the heart builds up the pressure, now goes through a certain valve. Good. Why is it called your tricuspid?
There's 3.
So if you count them 1, 2, 3, versus on the left side, 2. Anyone know what those muscles are called? Close, but papillary. Okay, so, and again, I'll show you how to tell the difference, but yeah, good. You guys are doing great. Okay, good. So, right atrium gets DO2, sends it to the right ventricle. The right ventricle received it from the tricuspid valve, right? Okay, now let me see if they want you to talk about that before we get to the ventricle. Oh yeah, okay, so before we leave the atrium, you have little, right? You have those little, yeah, okay. So on the atria, these are your atria, right? The top ones. Atria has muscle, right? The muscle, what does the muscle do?
Constrict.
It helps this, the right auricle or the left auricle, your ears, helps these to contract. Okay? Now, if this, let's just think this is muscle in general. I put it on my chest. What is this muscle called on the body?
Cardiac muscle.
Yeah, the pecs. So this has to be, you flip it over, there's your pectinate muscle because it's on the pec of the heart. Does that make sense? You think of the body of the heart, you think like how we have the pec major, the pec minor. They have the same thing. Pectinate muscle is on the inside, but it's actually in the auricle, which here, you see this flap? This is the right ear, the right auricle. This is the left ear, left auricle. You open it up, you see this hairbrush. You see the hairbrush? That is your pectinate muscle. The pectinate muscle helps the auricle to contract. If it's in the right one, right auricle. If it's in the left one, left auricle. Not the atrium. Helps the auricle.
Why are you saying oracle? Because I'm not saying atrium. I know.
Yeah, because lecture is more of like the entirety, like more of the. You have more material, but it's more of the base. Whereas lab is the detail. So the auricle is in the on the atrium,
Right.
but it's actually pectinate muscle is actually on the auricle. So while we're on this, these ears, the ears of the heart, what does the auricle do? Yeah, you have to know that. Yeah, so what does the right auricle do? I can start talking. It's an empty space for. Okay, good. So for, yeah, keep going.
So doesn't it expand when there's a lot of blood?
Exactly. The auricle is an empty space for overflow of blood. Let's say you're sitting here and then some a-hole comes and scares the crap out of you, and then you have that. That keeps the heart healthy and safe. Or you have to jog, or you have to run, sprint real quick. You have to have more blood flow. The heart can't keep all the blood, so it has a pocket, a little reservoir to keep any overflow. Does that make sense? Okay, again, the right auricle is an empty chamber for overflow of blood. Empty space. Yeah, empty space, empty chamber, any way you want. Okay? Good. So what does a pectinate muscle do? And this one helps the right what? To contract. Good. Does that make sense? Good. All right. The right ventricle moves DO2 blood from right atrium to where? The right ventricle receives DO2 blood from the right atrium, but where does it send it to? The pulmonary trunk. Come on, you got it. Okay, so good. So right atrium goes to the right ventricle by way of tricuspid valve. Right ventricle builds up pressure, shoots it through to the pulmonary trunk by way of what valve? Semilunar. Good, the semilunar valve. So, which one though? Is it the pulmonary semilunar or the aortic semilunar? Pulmonary, because it's on the pulmonary trunk, the tree trunk, right? Why is it called semilunar?
To have a shape.
Yeah. So think of a plumber. You see the little butt crack, the half moon, the plumber. Sorry, I have a bunch of girls. Okay, sorry. So you think of the plumber's crack. That's going to help you understand semilunar. Now you can remember it, right? Okay. So your semilunar, then you just decide is it on the pulmonary or is it on the aortic? What up, Dan?
Hi, everybody.
Don't worry, I won't worry. Alright, so, alright. In the ventricle, we have muscle, right? Okay, you distract yourself.
No.
Wait, let me just make sure. Okay, so first of all, what does the ventricle do? Can you say receive blood from it sends it to the
Pulmonary.
if you get in more detail by way of
Semilunar.
good, that pulmonary semilunar valve. Okay, good. Now, okay. These little things right here, those tricuspid, how do you differentiate tri from bi, right? That's your papillary muscle. Okay, again, pectinate muscle is up on the chest of the heart. Papillary muscle is on the valves. Does that make sense? So, first of all, okay, we have the papillary muscle. Now the muscle has to connect to the valve. So what connects the muscle to the valve? What are those cords called? The cords. The cord. chordae tendineae. So chordae tendineae means tendinous cords. Does that make sense? So again, we have the papillary muscle. The papillary muscle connects to the valve by way of the tendinous cords called chordae tendineae. Now think of a hamper bag, right? You throw all of your laundry into the hamper bag. Now your arms are the muscle, the papillary muscle. The cords on the hamper bag are the chordae tendineae. When you contract, it closes the bag, closes the valve. Now when you let it go and you relax, it relaxes and opens the valve again. So on this, your chordae tendineae and the papillary muscle contracts, pulls down on the chordae tendineae, closes the valve. When it relaxes, it opens the valve. Does that make sense? Okay, so again, your papillary muscle keeps tricuspid valve closed to prevent what? Backflow. Good. Okay, chordae tendineae. What does a chordae tendineae do?
And then to go to the anterior.
So it's not it's not a muscle. I get what you're saying, but it's not a muscle. What is it? You can say what it's made of and what it assists in. So I don't think you really need to say tendon-like structure. You're going to say connect papillary muscle to tricuspid valve or papillary muscle to bicuspid valve, whichever one we talk about. Does that make sense? Okay, so again, when we have blood in the atrium, this valve is closed until it fills all up. The valve opens, is the muscle, when the valve opens to allow it to go into the ventricle, is the papillary muscle contracted or relaxed? When the valve opens.
Relax.
Good. You let go of the drawstrings, the bag will open. Okay? It goes all into the ventricle. Now the papillary muscle closes when it's done. Why?
To prevent backflow.
Prevent backflow. So what the muscle's doing is it's pulling down on the cords to hold, like if you're holding the handles on that opening chamber, right? So it keeps it closed. So what the chordae tendineae does, all it really is for is a connection from the muscle to the valve. Okay, good. Okay, now you have muscle down in the ventricle, right? It looks like carne asada, right? Kind of gross. But it looks kind of like that ground up meat. Okay? What is this muscle called? Good. Trabeculae carne. So carne asada. Okay? Carne asada. Now I'm hungry. Damn it. Now I want carne asada. Okay. So trabeculae carne. What does it do? What's that? Okay, so think more of this because this is essentially going to be separating your septum. But this since muscle does what? Contracts. So what is it going to contract? Helps, or you can say helps right ventricle pump blood. That's essentially what it does. Helps right ventricle pump blood. Now remember, if it's in the left ventricle, it's going to help the left ventricle. Okay, remember, right, left, right? Good. Now, we go up through the pulmonary pulmonary valve, the pulmonary trunk, goes out to the lungs. We'll do that later, back in. Now it dumps into the left atrium. Okay? The left atrium, when you're looking at the heart, this is how the heart sits. The left atrium is posterior. It's a little more back. The right atrium is frontwards, more anterior. Okay? So now it goes to the lungs, breathe, get oxygenated, throw it back into the what? What is this one? It goes back into the left atrium. Okay? So what is the function for the left atrium? So I can start you off. Moves oxygenated blood from the right and left. What? What are these called?
Ventricles.
Okay, so how the circulation is your valve or your vessels are wherever the main organ is. So take an example for the heart. If the heart is pumping away from it, it's an artery, away. If it's coming towards, just like in Spanish, it come towards. Okay, so a vein, venteki, comes towards the heart. Okay? An artery doesn't want A away. Or you think of Fonzie, and maybe girls are too young, but when he's like A away. Alright? So now, alright, so look at this. See how it's, what's that? Yeah, of course. Right. We're not. No, I'm joking. Okay, so what color is this? Red. Okay. Red means what?
Oxygenated.
Oxygenated, right? Blue means
The oxygen.
good. Do not ever remember red is an artery, vein is red's an artery, blue is a vein. Never remember that. It's not the case. Okay? So these are red, meaning it's oxygenated. Oxygen has to come towards the heart, right? In this case. So this has to be what? It's coming towards the heart. A pulmonary vein.
Oh,
Okay, does that make sense?
yeah.
Now, look at these ones. These are blue. That's a pulmonary artery. It's going away from the heart. Does that make sense to everyone, or is anyone confused?
So artery away. Veins. Toward.
Yeah, so don't remember, what I would say is, I'm trying to think what, wait, say that one more time so I don't
So artery.
Kinain ka na lang.
yeah.
Hindi, binibigyan lang kita para kumain ka.
Veins,
Towards the heart.
normally, okay? There are different cases for this, okay? Red is O2. Blue, DO2. That's the one I'd remember. Red O2, blue DO2. Every other sentence, don't remember. Okay? So here's the two that you need to remember. Red's oxygen, blue's DO2. The second sentence to remember is if it's coming towards the heart or towards the main. So for example, this you just need to know the heart. If it's coming towards this main heart,
Veins.
it is venteki. It's a vein. If it's going away, it's
Artery.
an artery. So in this case, it's a pulmonary vein because it's coming towards the heart and it's giving it blood because it's giving it oxygen because it's red. Okay? This one's blue, so it's going away,
Away.
right? And it's carrying the oxygen. Does that make sense? Yeah? You good? Is your phone?
No, I told you I found the box.
Oh.
I don't know what to do. You have a group, we can take a group.
Oh no, that's fine. If
No, I'm perfectly okay with from learning from you.
just spin around. No, if you want, you could join in. You can help or just chill. It's completely up to you. I'm good.
I'll make sure that you're doing your job.
Okay. Let's see. Where were we at? Left atrium, right? Okay. Left atrium moves oxygenated blood from the right and left pulmonary veins, right? To where? To the left ventricle. Now, what did it go through? Bicuspid valve. What other names are there?
Mitral.
Atrium, ventricle. Combine them. Atrioventricular valve. Okay, AV valve. If you ever hear of that, right and left AV valves, atrioventricular valves. Okay, the mitral valve is, if anyone here is Catholic, it's the Pope. Okay, I'm not Catholic, but yeah, it's the little Pope hat, little mitre. It's called a mitre, right? Yeah. So that's where they got that name. So, but common ones are tricuspid, bicuspid, and AVs. Okay. Okay. So just like on the right atrium and right ventricle, it has the same thing. It has pectinate muscle. It has tuberculate carne. It has all of those same things. You just have to switch the functions from right side to left side. Okay? So any questions with any of this? You're all good? Okay. Let's move down to the intraventricular septum. Okay. So your septum is right here. Your intraventricular septum separates the ventricles, right? Alright, now look at this. Do you see how this muscle is this wall is a lot thicker than this wall? Why? Anyone know? Or it's okay if you don't. Okay, so where does this ventricle pump the blood to? This side? The what? That goes to the what? To the lungs. Okay. Where does this pump the blood to? The body. Okay. If this had a lot of muscle, you'd blow your lungs out. Okay. You'd be dead. All right. So it doesn't need that muscle. Doesn't need that meathead to go and just push it all in, or you're dead. Okay. Whereas this side, it has to be bigger. It has to pump the blood through the entire body. Does that make sense? Any questions? Good. Okay. What's that? Yeah, I was wondering what is it? Oh, is it smoothie? What kind of smoothie? Is it like vegetables?
The life part. Like I literally
Yeah, things I've eaten. Anything. Okay, so any questions with the valves? Okay, name me this valve. What's this valve? Tricuspid. What's this valve? Bicuspid. What is, now you look underneath it, you see that valve in there? Okay. See that one? What's that one? Aortic semilunar valve. Good. What's this one? Pulmonary semilunar valve. So you have two AV valves, and you have two semilunar valves. That makes sense? Yeah. The aortic, you see how there's a bicuspid, and if you lift it up, to see the aortic. Alright? Now, you could see it. No, you gotta. Yeah. That's the pulmonary. The aortic is the big one right here. Big ass one. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get better at that.
It's a problem.
Alright. Okay, so, alright, so any questions with what we just did? No? You good? Alright. Where are you at? Okay. So are you ready to move on to the layers? If you notice that question, I think compare the thickness of the left and right ventricular walls. We just did that one, right? Which one's thicker? Why is it thicker? Why is it thinner? Okay. Be familiar with those questions. Do not study those questions. Just study the material and then look at those questions and see if you can answer them. If you can vaguely get the answer, you're good. Do not memorize them. Do not put them on your notes. Don't put them anywhere. They're just to see how well you know the material. Okay? All right. So the cardiac layers. Do you want to go over the cardiac layers, or would you like to go move on to something else?
That's fine.
Layers. Okay.
Because, like, if I'm doing a lot of people and I'm like having one hour, and she's like, yeah, no, the beach just goes like, I was like, no, I do that too, but they only like, they all do freaking
Okay, so we're gonna have to go to the cadaver for some of these, unless if you want, I can try to explain it. It might be a little harder though if I explain it versus seeing. Yeah, I can do most of them except for I can't do the mediastinum, or no, I can't do that. I can't do the pericardial sac, the fibrous, serous, and the cavernous. Okay. So, unless we can always go to the cadaver to show it to you, or I can explain it to you. I just want to make sure you understand it. Okay. So you want me to try to explain it, and if you don't understand it, we can go and see it. Okay. All right. So the first one is called your mediastinum. Does anyone know what the mediastinum is? Okay, what if I said, what is the thoracic chamber? or the abdominal pelvic cavity, okay, thoracic cavity, abdominal pelvic cavity. You understand that, right? So if I said, what is a mediastinum? That's the same thing. It's a cavity. So when I take the thoracic cavity, you have that cut in the middle, right? Now you put it up here, here. You just divide the lungs. There you go. You have the heart's square. That's the mediastinum. It's in the middle of the sternum. Mediastinum. Medium sternum. That makes sense? So the mediastinum houses the heart and great vessels.
Want like on their well in their class, I get off with the papers to be doing by my
Yep. Great vessels. Okay. All right.
Mute.
All right.
Mute.
The pericardial sac. Do you remember that lab where you had to take the heart, or no, you had to take a plastic bag filled with water, and this stuff in the heart, okay? And that sac around it that protects it, that's your pericardial sac. Pericardial sac, what your function would be, covers and protects the heart. Covers and protects heart. That's fine. The pericardial sac, I don't know if this is your notes, it can also be called the pericardium. Okay, the pericardium is the same thing as the pericardial sac. So we have the visceral pericardium, the parietal pericardium, that's the sac. Okay? Now, on the pericardial sac, now, if we have the visceral pericardium, is it on the organ or is it on the wall? On the organ. And then did you guys, did they explain viscera, what it means? When you ever hear of viscera?
Is it deep?
Okay, so whenever you hear the word viscera,
It's deep
that
down,
means
right?
organ. Okay, viscera is organ. So whenever you hear like a visceral touch, visceral, like I got a visceral touch feeling, if you ever hear that, that's the organ. So the surrounding of the organ, because it's the viscera. So if I have a visceral membrane, it's on the viscera. If I have a parietal, it's on the wall. Does that make sense? Okay, so the visceral pericardium is on the heart. So can you see that heart right there? Do you see that on this torso right here in front of us, right here? Do you see the yellow, the fat pad on the heart? Right there? You're all, that right there, that epicardium, that fat pad, yeah, that is in sense your visceral pericardium. Any outside or any of that membrane around the outside of the heart is a visceral pericardium. So all this would be visceral pericardium. It protects the heart. It's a covering on the heart. Okay? The parietal pericardium has two layers. Okay? The parietal pericardium has two layers. You have a fibrous layer and a serous layer. Okay? So here, I'll try to explain it. All right, so if on this organ we already have the visceral pericardium, right? It's already there. My hand is the parietal. It's on the outside. Okay? So on the outside of my hand, here's the heart. On the outside of my hand is a fibrous layer. It has to be fibrous to connect to everything on the outside. Okay? On the inside of my hand, it's the serous layer. The serous layer has to be inside because it needs to reduce friction. That makes sense? It has to be soft. It has to be slimy. It has to have the serous fluid in there to protect and prevent friction of the heart. Okay? So your fibrous layer protects pericardium. Serous layer secretes pericardial fluid. Anything. I'm pretty sure you remember that from a long time ago. Same thing. Okay? Just remember this, the parietal pericardium has two layers. Fibrous on the outside and serous on the inside. Okay? Any questions with that? No? Fibrous layer, you can just say protects the pericardium. Okay? Now, in between those, there's a gap, right? There's that little gap that runs around. You should have it on the picture. Yeah, exactly. You have it on those pictures. That gap is your pericardial what?
Cavity.
Right? On this, I think the same thing, right? The pericardial cavity, the pericardial space. So in that, the pericardial cavity or space houses the pericardial fluid. Okay, that's exactly what it's going to do. Okay? Now we have epi, myo, endo, right? When we know there's three layers, when we know there's an outer, a middle, and an inner, what organ? What type of organ is it? Hollow. Okay? Now, the outer layer is always connective, middle is always muscle, inner is always endothelium or epithelium. Okay, so on this side, this outer part right here, remember how I said that was the visceral pericardium? Okay? The visceral pericardium can also be called the epicardium. Okay? So this epicardium is also, I don't know if you've heard, it's called the serous layer visceral pericardium. Have you heard that? Okay. All you have to really know is the epicardium is the same thing as that visceral pericardium. So what it's going to do is it's protecting the myocardium, protecting that heart muscle. So the epicardium protects the myocardium, protects that heart on the outside. You open up the heart to see the muscle, the myocardium. The myocardium is a cardiac muscle, contracts and relaxes to pump blood. It's just what you think. You don't have to write that exact sentence. You can shorten it up if you want, as long as you have contracting to help pump blood. Okay?
That's the function of the myocardium.
Yeah, myocardium, cardiac muscle that contracts and relaxes to pump blood. Now the endocardium is inside. It has to be a smooth layer. It helps to help with the friction and nothing to have, to hinder any activity. So the endocardium helps blood flow smoothly. That's it. So let's see how you're doing. The pericardial cavity is lined with what kind of membrane? Serous membrane, right? Because it's a serous fluid, serous membrane. Good. The serous layer of the pericardial sac can also be called what?
Pericardium.
So the serous layer of the pericardial sac outside. What is the outside membrane called?
Pericardium. Visceral.
Not visceral because it's on the heart. Parietal. Okay? So again, the serous layer of the pericardial sac can also be called the serous layer of the parietal pericardium. The epicardium, the outside, that fat pad, that fat tissue on the heart, on the torso right here. The epicardium is also called what? Serous layer of the visceral pericardium. Yeah, you understand it? Is it making sense? Good. All right, good. Don't worry about the other one. All right. So, are you all ready for conduction, or do you need a break? Is everyone still with me? We only have a little bit left, and finish 21 and 22. Okay? So, do anyone want to take a break a little bit, or do you want me to keep going? Keep going?
It's okay.
You're good? If you're good, I'll keep going. Okay. All right.
15 more minutes.
The serous layer of the sac could be called
The parietal, I guess.